Hey, this is B, and today I'm bringing you the book of the month of November, which is 41, A Portrait of My Father by George W. Bush. Um, I like autobiographies, don't get me wrong. I've been starting to read them more lately, but I usually don't read much political books or people who are into politics books, kind of. I'm just not into that usually. I like politics, but I don't like reading about it, if that makes any sense. I'm kind of weird. But I saw this Idolatry, and I heard it was a good book, but I didn't, was not interested in reading it. So that's like those Bill O'Reilly books people read. Never was really interested in reading those, so I never read them. But I picked up Idolatry. I've seen them before, sold before in stores and stuff like that, but it never really draw my interest. Probably because I was still young at the time, and now that I'm kind of older, that stuff more appeals to me because it's more of a, I mean, anyone can probably read this, but it appeals to adult audience. So what I liked about it, what appealed to me was just how the cover was. I just liked how visually appealing it looked. I just liked the colors and just everything about it and the font. Just like, you know, they say never judge a book by its cover. Well, I kind of did, sort of. And just how the overall book was. See the back. But, I just finally just broke down and said, you know what, I'm going to read it. It might be a good book now that I'm old enough or mature enough to understand the basics of it. I might enjoy it reading it a little better. Basically what sums her up, it's about George Bush's father, basically. The story of his father and his life and everything else that lead up to his father being president, and then there's a little bit about him being president in the early 2000s. And this book came out in 2014, so there's some pictures in there of, I don't know exactly which page it is, but there's like a different collage of like different pictures. Let me find because he put some pictures, older pictures, like black and white pictures. So yeah. See, there's some older pictures of his father. Him being in the war, him as a kid, him running. Yeah, that's it. And then you go into the later of the book. Oh, I just happened to do this. See, so this book came out about 2014, so it's got a little bit of newer pictures in there. It was well thought and written out. You can tell there was a lot of love and creativity when he wrote this book about his father. He did go back and forth a little bit compared to his current, his presidency during the 2000s, compared to what he learned from his dad and his dad's run, basically, for president and him being president. And of course, it covered the serious issue of the Middle East when Saddam Hussein was big, when he got big. So a lot of us millennials will remember, and it kind of just reading it, I mean, it didn't go into detail, but when you just read it, us millennials will, to me, when I read it, it brought back memories of watching news as a kid on TV. So, in a way, if you're very sensitive to those informations about reliving the history, running around my age or a little bit younger or maybe a little older, you might not want to read this book. But overall, it's a really thought out book. It's a really good book. Nothing I normally read, but it was pretty good. So I gave it the benefit of the doubt, and it worked out in my favor. It also talked a little bit about George's grandfather, actually, and a little bit of the great-grandfather. So you had a little history of, little rundown of the family, then to his father, and a little bit of him and his brother, Jeb, and his other siblings, a little bit how he met his wife, and talking about their kids and stuff like that. So it's a fairly family-powering, very family-oriented book. And it has very lot of morals in it. Kind of just gives a description of went behind the scenes just a little bit, not too much, but Yeah, you'll notice if you know your history a little bit or just know the presidents, you'll see popular names like Ronald Reagan, Dwight D. Eisenhower, just all those big names. Um, and of course, it goes into detail about certain governors and House of Representatives. Like, it just goes into detail. So if you love not just history, but just government and politics in general, and have a good understanding of it, this is a good book to read. Um, but I just love how detailed it was, how loving it was, and it was just so packed full of love, basically. You can really tell he put his heart and soul into this book, which I like books like that because it's not just a book you just read. You're immersed into the feelings of the writer and if it being an autobiography, not just the writer, but just the situation and the story in the story, basically. So you feel like you're part of it. You're seeing what you're reading, basically. So which is good. That's a good that when a book does that. That means you're fully into the book. And it was kind of hard for me to put down. So that's another good point. Usually you don't find much of good books anyway, unless there's certain series. I only noticed a few series of books that I liked that I couldn't hardly put down, but that's one of them. And it being an autobiography, that's pretty good. I didn't find it boring, but sometimes when you go into all these details, like super in detail, it could feel a little overbearing, basically. So you may feel overwhelmed if you don't go into all the details or read the details of stuff. So just bear that in mind. So you might just take a breather once in a while while reading this, because sometimes it gets a little over in depth for some people. It did a little me, but I just took my time and just breezed through it. But overall, it's a really good book. I suggest you guys reading it. And sorry I went over and over in depth about it, but you should check it out. I don't know if Walmart. Usually, a lot of times I saw it before Dollar Tree. I saw it in Walmart or anywhere that books are sold. So if you're gonna go to like Books a Million, it would probably be in the autobiography or the history section of the books. Usually, that's where stuff like that is seen. But yeah, you should totally check it out. I would heavily recommend it. But that's my conclusion or review of 41, The Portrait of My Father by George W. Bush. And you should totally check it out, whether online or in bookstores near you. And if you want to follow me on other social medias, I will put my info in the description box. Thank you, everybody. See you soon.